Hey everybody, JC here. Happy Friday morning. It is about 10:30 here in Porter, Texas. About to go get a haircut at Sports Clips. See how much they charge me for the finding fee. And we're going to use FSD to go do it. Let's go. Push the little blue button. Come out of my home driveway. Not as many vehicles impeding our path this time. My brother-in-law is out and about this morning, so didn't have his truck there, and then my neighbor didn't have his big old GMC Yukon there, so a little bit easier getting out of my driveway today. Got landscaping crew to the left. Go a little slower around them. All good. We're gonna get to the stop sign at the end of my street. No vehicles coming, so we should be good. There we go. Awesome. Start making our way through the neighborhood here. So yeah, just gonna go run to Sports Clips. Yeah, I meant to go do it this weekend. I don't know if y'all remember, but I stopped there on Sunday, totally forgetting that they would be closed on Easter Sunday. And then, of course, I procrastinated the rest of the week, so got up this morning and said, I just need to get in the Tesla and go get my haircut. Not like it's going to take very long. Just got to get over there and do it. So, yeah, I've been doing, as far as a personal update, I have continued to do Uber with my Tesla using FSD on all of the trips, all of the rides that I've been providing. And man, it's just been amazing. I wish I would have started doing Uber sooner in my retirement. I mean, at the end of the day, I guess it's not that big. I mean, I retired 6-7 months ago, going on, let's see, yeah, it'll be 7 months that I've been retired at the end of this month. And you know what they always say, when you retire, you know, go ahead and give yourself a handful of months, maybe even a year, just to enjoy life, go travel, go do some things. And so I certainly did that. I have done a boatload of road trips in the 7 months since my retirement. Gone to California and back, been to Kentucky and back, been to Wichita, Kansas several times and back, and then some shorter road trips just around Texas and Louisiana. And so definitely I have gotten to see the country in my Tesla, and that has been fantastic. And on that California road trip I mentioned, I mean, I visited, gosh, I can't even have to count that again, but I visited many states. Let me do the math. So that's Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Arizona, California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado. So 8. I went through 8 states in that one road trip back and forth to California, because I went the long way both ways. I was gone for about 2 weeks, and I haven't done a road trip that long since then. It was fun, but man, I was ready to get home at the end of that road trip. So yeah, I'm thinking in most cases, especially if I'm by myself, probably a week. You know, that's kind of like when I got to that, started getting to the last couple of days of that 2-week road trip, I was like, yeah, I'm just ready to get home now. But it was great. I enjoyed it thoroughly. So yeah, I say all that to say, yeah, it was about time for me to maybe, you know, start doing some other things. Obviously not in a quote-unquote professional setting. And it doesn't mean, like, once you retire, it does not mean you need to continue doing something quote unquote professionally, right? And for me, my professional career centered around public accounting and all of the stress and rigmarole that goes into that. And not only was I in public accounting, I was in a part of public accounting that deals almost entirely with SEC public registrants, public companies. And I'm telling you, that brings a stress to the job that, I'm just going to be blunt. I don't miss it. I miss almost everything else about what I did. And I'm obviously very happy that I had this career. And I do miss the people, I miss the clients, my colleagues, but I don't miss that stress. Quarterly reporting, month-end closes, just not to bore you with details, but going into all of that. So I don't miss that. It was time for me to once it was time to hang up the cleats, I was like done and dusted. I was not going to go to another CPA firm. I was not going to go to another consulting firm. I just wasn't going to do it. I was done and dusted with that. I'm one of those individuals that when I'm in it, I am in it. Like, I'm in there 110%. But once, it's time for retirement, I'm going to go 180 degrees the opposite direction. And that's what I'm doing. And there was never, KPMG had been so good to me and my family. There was no way on God's green earth I was ever going to join any firm or any organization that in any way, form, or fashion ever competed with KPMG. Just not. And that means small to mid-sized firms, because in some ways they may compete. I'm just not going to do it. They've given way too much to me. They helped change the trajectory of my life. Two organizations that I owe a lot to are the United States Marine Corps. Well, three. Let me give three organizations that are due. United States Marine Corps, Lamar University in Beaumont, Texas. Great school. Obviously, a small regional college in the Golden Triangle of Southeast Texas. But I owe them a lot. And then KPMG. I owe them a ton. So, never even gonna come close to resembling something that may look like competition to KPMG. So, I think it's fair to say doing Uber in a Tesla with FSD will never risk competing with KPMG, dealing with public clients on their equity offerings and debt offerings and Sarbanes-Oxley compliance and IT, consulting and bankruptcy and restructuring. Nowhere near that. So I am now have my feet firmly planted in Tesla, artificial intelligence, humanoid robotics, vehicle autonomy. That's what I'm focused on now. All right, we are in the Sports Clips parking lot. Let's see what we do here. We're probably just going to stop right here. So, yep, I am going to go ahead and park over here in a parking spot. Yep, it just dropped me off right in front of Sports Clips, which is fine. That is what you want a driverless robotaxi to do. I don't drive a driverless robotaxi. I have a passenger vehicle. So hopefully we get a FSD update here soon that at least for personal use Teslas, we get that parking and unparking. I don't even know if that's a real word, but yeah, the parking lot functionality, parking and reparking and unparking, all that sort of stuff. The first and last 5 feet. That's what I'm looking forward to. All right, everybody. Well, let me shut her down for a second, or for a while, for a second for you. I'm going to run in and pay my finder's fee to the nice ladies at Sports Clips. One of those nice ladies is going to get a nice little finder's fee, find the few hairs left and trim it up. And I'll be back in the Tesla. All right, everybody. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. done at sports clips and back in the Tesla. Let's get on out of here. Push the little blue button. Got the rear camera on. Well, we got the rear camera on, but it doesn't want to move, and I don't see anybody around us. Oh, there we go. There's somebody. Well, that was interesting. So we did have somebody come to our left side from behind, but I don't know. It hesitated there for a good 7 or 8 seconds, and I'm not really sure what that was. I went ahead and gave it some time, and then as soon as that car passed and parked, we were good to go. But I don't know. It could have moved out before then. All right, we're just waiting for the cars pass through here. There we go. We are going to go ahead and make one more trip while I'm out today. I need to get some pool supplies. So, unfortunately, there is no pool supply company right around in this shopping center on this side of Kingwood, so I've actually got to go over to the other side of Kingwood, which is about 5 miles away, to get pool supplies. But no big whoop. One of the perks of retirement. The only thing I really have on the docket today is that at noon Central Time, my time, so here in about, time is it? It's about 11:15, so in about 45 minutes I'm going to be joining Alexander Christensen's space on X. It's called Only Tesla, and it's always a great space. Alex runs a great space there, and a bunch of other folks from the Tesla community that are active on X. We get on there for a couple of hours, and you learn a lot. You ask a lot of questions, and some really smart folks are on there. I do not include myself in that list. I'm an enthusiast. I love Tesla. I love my Tesla. I love vehicle autonomy, and love AI and all things about it. But I am nowhere near an expert on any of those things. So I like to listen into those spaces and hear their perspectives. I ask questions. I give some of my perspectives on some things where I think I could add value. A lot of times when folks are talking about financial matters, or obviously accounting matters, but anything financial or accounting, I'll go ahead and kind of throw my perspective in. But even there, I tell folks, like, yeah, I was in finance and accounting for 30 plus years, but in a completely different industry, right? I dealt with oil and gas companies, oil field service companies, energy transportation. So basically around the legacy energy market. So I can talk a lot about that, but obviously the oil and gas and oil field services industry and where Tesla is you couldn't get more diametrically different, right? Although I shouldn't say diametrically different, because it takes natural gas to create the vast majority of the power, the electricity that we enjoy in the United States. And man, go to Europe and it's like even more so. So if you're using electricity in the year 2025 of our Lord, then you are long natural gas. Whether you like it or not, you are long natural gas. All right, I don't know why we're getting over into the right lane here, because I think we're going to have to get right back over. Now, the Tesla may not know that yet, because we've got 2 lanes that go down to 1 lane. And it's about to figure that out right now. There you go. You figured it out. But see, that's where it's still learning, right? Because me as a human being, experienced driver, I saw those cones way, much further ahead than FSD must have seen it. Now, what is this truck doing? What in the world are you doing? Yeah, he just hit that cone right there. He doesn't want to be in this, so he's gonna, I guess, there's probably some back way within King's Mill, but I'm telling you, he's gonna, in order for him to save time based on this, that means he's gonna have to be going 40 to 50 through a couple of neighborhoods back there. Just so you know, if that's what he's doing, if he's trying to, and you could tell he was like a demon and basically knocked over one of those cones there. I'm telling you, if he's going to try to save time going through there versus just staying in this one lane, the only way he's going to do that is going 40 to 50 through neighborhoods with kids. Yep, impatience. Now look at us, we're moving. Impatience. Impatience is a killer, literally and figuratively. Oh wow, they opened up this lane. So this is new to my right. That lane right there did not exist literally 2 to 3 days ago. So the lane directly to my right is brand new. Or not brand new, I mean obviously they've been constructing it, but it just got opened up recently. Awesome. So that makes me wonder, so we've now got 2 lanes, brand new lanes here on the, which way, give me a second, the eastbound side of North Park. We've got, I think that's 2 lanes over there. So now the only thing left is there's a middle partition over here. So I don't know if that's going to be a lane eventually or if they're going to make that into a median. My guess is that's going to be a lane as well. Probably a turning lane. I don't know what you turn in, but you could do U-turns there. And then there's enough space on the right-hand side that looks like you could either have 2 lanes over there or something. That's going to be interesting. So that would be great if all of a sudden this is like a 6 or 8 lane thoroughfare here. That would really open North Park up. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do over there yet. The rebar that they're laying right now looks like it would be for a road. I mean, look at me talking like I would know. Well, now that being said, we still got, I'm assuming they're not going to mess with the median here. And then you would go down to back to 2 lanes here. But if they open this thing up to where it's 3 lanes on both sides, that 2 to 3 mile stretch in North Park, that would be huge. Man, because that is, not that I care as much anymore since I'm retired, but for folks that commute into downtown Houston and that's your way to get to 59, man, that bottleneck right there, I mean, people can sit in that for 15 to 20 minutes just in that 2 mile stretch. So if they can open that up and add 2 to 4 more lanes total, man, that may cut 10 to 15 minutes out of some folks' commutes in the morning and coming back home. And I mean, if you can give somebody back 20 to 30 minutes of their day just with road construction, over time that multiplies. So yeah, just heading to the pool store now. We're about 3.25 miles away. So yeah, we were talking about Uber, and I'm really enjoying it. So just to give you a quick snapshot, I know I did a video on Sunday. So just so everybody knows, today is Friday. I did a video, the last video with my commentary with no Uber passenger, just me by myself in my Tesla yakking at y'all through my GoPro. The last one I did was Sunday. So this is 5 days later on Friday. And I'm still doing Uber. there were a couple of days I didn't do Uber because I had some things going on, but pretty much I've done Uber. Yeah, so I did Uber. I did some Uber on Sunday after I posted that video. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I did Uber 2 days. I did Uber Wednesday and Thursday. I don't think I did as much Uber on Monday and Tuesday, but anywho, I have definitely continued to go pretty hard in the paint on Uber, at least to where I am at this point. When I say hard in the paint, I was at 0 up until 2 weeks ago. So I have been doing Uber now for 2 weeks. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks. And my typical outing, each time I open up the Uber driver app and press go, I would say I'm typically in that 5 to 7 hours. I think I've gone as far as 8 hours on one time, but yeah, I would say I'm in that 5 to 8 hour range. And I have not yet done multiple outings in one day. So I know the folks that basically make a career out of, it really wants me to, I don't know if the sunglasses, probably because the sun, yeah. Anyway, no big deal. We're still being monitored. I mean, you got to remember, even with that nag right there, that was the first nag I've had with sunglasses, so that's pretty good. But even with that, remember, that's all going to go away. It's all going to go away, so don't get mad if it nags you every once in a while. Sometimes I'll take the sunglasses off and just go without them if I don't want to get nagged too much. But it's all going to be irrelevant one day soon. So just remember that. That nag is only coming up because we're still in the supervised world. But what I was going to say is I juxtapose my, 5 to 8 hours, let's say. Like, yeah, I think it's fair to say 5 to 8. The least amount, like I think the least amount I've done when I went out one time was like maybe 3 to 4 hours, but I've basically been in that, and the top I've done is 8. So I'm in that 5 to 8. So you could probably say I'm averaging over these last 2 weeks, I've probably averaged 6 hours of Uber each time I've gone out. And every time I've gone out, I've only gone out one time for the day. I have not done multiple outings in a day. So the reason I say that is because the folks that really go hard in the paint on Uber, like the ones that basically make a living out of it, what they generally do, my understanding, is they'll essentially do like 2 shifts a day. And each shift could be 6 to 8 hours. So there are folks out there that are getting, at least 12 hours of Uber in. Some of them getting close to 16 hours of Uber. And you can do it because the way the Uber rules work is you can drive, you can be online for 12 hours, but then once you hit 12 hours, you got to take a break. You got to take a 6-hour break. And so what a lot of folks will do, the ones that really go hard in the paint and try to make a decent, living out of it. I shouldn't say decent, because hell, I'm making a decent living out of it compared to, anywho, let me recharacterize that. A good living, like a really top 10%, top 5% of the United States type of living. You're pretty much having to go you're having to treat it like a real job that you're doing some OT in. So like I said, 12 to 16. And what they'll do is they'll get up at the butt crack of dawn. So I know I've heard of some of these folks, starting their day, their Uber day at 4 or 5 in the morning. So let's say you start at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in the morning, and you're trying to get that morning commute crowd, or, because there's folks that got to drop their vehicles off at the repair shop or tire store, you know, and they don't want to wait. They don't want to, it's going to be an all day thing, right? So they're dropping their cars off, whatnot, and they need to commute in. Or folks that are in town on business and staying at hotels on the outskirts of town, or folks needing to go to the airport, you know, needing to go to the airport or needing to be picked up from the airport. So let's just say there's that morning commute and red eye flight crowd that basically goes from about probably more like 5 a.m. I know some people that get up at 4 a.m. though and get started, but let's just say that 5 to 10 a.m. right? So let's say you're clocking in, you hit go at 4 a.m. Those guys are going till 10 o'clock. And that's what I've heard, is that for that kind of crowd, it basically starts dying down around 10. They may do a little bit of stragglers. So what they'll do then is they'll set the Uber app to take them home. And let's say from 10 to 11, they do a couple more trips just to get them on home. So there's some folks that do like 4 a.m. Let's see how we do here. Let's just see. Now we're in the parking lot for Leslie's Pools. I just want to see what it does here. Does it try to park us, or is it going to? No, it's going to keep on going. I think it's going to go to front. Let's go. We'll go to the front of Leslie's. We got a parking spot right there in front. Why don't you take that parking spot? Why don't you take that parking spot? Huh? Take that parking spot. There we go. Well, you could have done a little bit better, though. I'm going to have to repark you. But you took a parking spot. That's great. Yeah, we're right on the line, though. All right, let me go ahead and straighten this up a bit. Make sure there's nobody coming. Let's see, I don't even have to, basically about 5 feet. And then get over about a foot. And, oh, that was, see, this is why you got to take humans out of the equation. I didn't even see that doggone, man. I'm going to have to check my front. It wasn't too bad, but I think I went over that little, I didn't even realize there was a curve. So, Tesla, take humans out of this, please. Take me out of this. See, literally perfect the whole way here. And then what do? I repark the damn thing and hit the front curb thing in the parking lot. Man, PO'd it myself. I'll check that out as I'm going in. But yeah, going back to the Uber thing. Yeah, so let's say you go 4 to 11. Well, that's a shift. I mean, that is a 7, 4 to 10 for like the meat of the crowd. You're hitting surge areas, you're hitting the commuter crowd, the airplane. So basically that's kind of all done by about 10, but you need to get home. So you'll set it to, take you home, and then Uber will give you any rides that may come up along the way. And so that gets you home at 11. So let's stick a pin in that. So we talked about a possible 4 to 11 shift. We're just talking about the guys that really go hard in the paint. Let me put a pin in this, and I'll see y'all in a little bit. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. Back in the Tesla, done at the pool supply store. Let's get on home. Push the little blue button. Put on the rear camera. Let's see how we do this time. Okay, much quicker this time. I don't know what the deal was at Sports Clips. Oh, we're having to stop for some folks behind us. Great job, Tesla FSD. Stopped our reverse to let some people pass behind us. But yeah, this one was perfect. I don't know what the deal was, because we hesitated like a good 8 seconds or so. It seemed like an eternity, but I let it go. I knew it was probably just thinking, and then that car came and we were good to go. So maybe, I don't know, maybe that car was like stopped out there to our left at Sports Clips, and I just couldn't see it, and it was trying to figure out where it wanted to go. I don't know, who cares? We got out of there. So yep, got some pull. I needed to get some pull shock and ouch side. I got to do some work. Unfortunately, we've had some rain here lately in the Houston area, and I was gone for a little bit, so the pool's gotten a little murky. So I need to do a good algicide / combo treatment for about 2 days. No big whoop. You pour in the algicide, you scrub the pool a bit, wait about 15-20 minutes, and then you shock the living crap out of the pool. Leave the recirculation going for about 12 hours. Shock it again. Continue to do it for 12 hours. Shock it again. So 3 of those combos. And by the way, we still have traffic oncoming. That's why we're waiting here. And after that, backwash the pool, and hopefully you got a clean pool at that point. But it does, you got to stay on top of it. All right, there we go. Now we got a gap. Great job, Tesla FSD. That's a tough intersection, median right there. That is not child's play. And that intersection right here at Kingwood Drive and Westlake Houston Parkway. So, but yeah, going back to our regularly scheduled program of talking about Uber, I think where I had put a pin in it, I was talking about what I have learned thus far about like the folks that really go hard in the paint on Uber and can make some, I'm going to tell you what, I can't speak to other locations, but here in Houston, and I'll take you through some of the numbers. You can do with the right equipment and the right resolve and the right amount of knowledge about how Uber works, you can make a good living in doing Uber. But you got to have certain things. But anyway, let me go back to what the folks, at least the ones here in Houston. Again, I can't speak to the work clock, for lack of a better term, or I don't know, the work schedule of typical, folks outside of Houston. But I can tell you, like in the Houston area, if you punch in between 4 to 5 a.m., you're going to get some rides. I mean, this is an early town, right? So you will be busy. If you punch in at 5 a.m., you're probably going to, it would be like throwing your fishing line into the water and a fish just immediately gets it. But even at 4, you will get some folks. So that's why I was saying a lot of, and those trips you get at between 4 and 5 a.m., they're generally going to be to downtown or other places, right? So they're going to be good fares. So yeah, 4 to 10, and then meander your way back to wherever you live. So let's say that person's going 4 to 11. Well, that's, what is that, 9 hours? No, 7 hours. So that's 7 hours right there. And then what they'll usually do is they'll take a nice break, maybe take a little nap, take a nice break, till about 3 or 4, and sometimes even 5. So some of these guys will take a break till 5 because they want to go, you got to remember about that. You can do 12 and then you got to take a 6-hour break. So what a lot of those guys will do, so that they don't need to ever take a break based on Uber telling them they need a break. That person that came back at 11, they may go back out at, say, 4 to 5 p.m. And so what they'll do then is, and this is the guy, so let's again, they got home at 11, and let's say they get back up on the road at 5. Well, that's a 6-hour break. Usually, you have a little lunch, have a afternoon nap, because they're going to need it for the schedule I'm about to tell you. So usually get a little bit of a nap during that time, feed the dogs, spend some time with, maybe they meet their significant other to have lunch or something like that, but whatever. So 11 to, they get home, that person gets home at 11, they put the, and again, this is EV, mostly EV folks I know, Tesla folks. So they're going to put their put it in their home charger, get fully charged back up within 5 to 6 hours, which you can do with the home charger. I'll tell you about that too. and then get back up out on the road at 5. And a lot of these guys, you will make there's some good fares out there, from 5 to 8 p.m. I would say there's some really good. And then what I have kind of seen, and again, tell me if y'all see something different in other areas of the country, or maybe even, parts of Houston. But what I have seen is, there's a pretty good surge from about 5 to 8 p.m. in Houston. And then it doesn't get bad. It just kind of goes into a lull, at least in the areas I've been in, from about 8 p.m. to maybe 10 or 11. But then if you're willing to, and maybe that's, you take a break. Maybe you know, if you're close around your home, you take another break. But what I have seen is, if you really want to get some great fares, and usually better tips too, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That, 11 p.m. to about 2 or 3, I'd say, let's say 2 in the morning, 2 or 3 in the morning. Oh my gosh, that is really good. So what you got to do though is, obviously that same individual can't go, because we just said that person got on the road at like 4 or 5 in the morning. So I'm just telling you all the time, like, if you really, really wanted to go hard in the paint, and let's just be blunt, the folks in this world that go hard in the paint on anything, they're usually they're getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Most of them probably are like 6 or 7, and every other waking hour is spent building, studying, working, getting better. There is no like Netflix and chill type of thing. They are going hard in the paint so if you think about it, you sleep, 6 to 7 hours. That individual that's going hard in the paint on Uber, they're doing Uber 16 hours a day, right? Again, 12 to 16 hours a day. Well, I'm going to tell you what, the reason and so they just got to find that right combination, right, for them in what I would say are those 2 to 3, there's 2 to 3 time frames of the day where you can get really good fares. Let's make it easy. 5 to 10 in the morning, 5 to 8 in the evening, and then about 11 or midnight to about 3 a.m. Those 3 time slots, if you can find a way. The problem is it's hard for one person to do all 3, as you can imagine, because you got to sleep, right? And preferably what I would always recommend is, when you get that 6 to 7 hours, you want that to be consistent. But you know what? If you can't get, if you can only get to 5 or 6 hours, then that's where that afternoon nap can come in handy. Just get a nice little hour or 2 afternoon nap. But again, the reason I'm bringing all that up is because you can make a really good living in Houston, Texas with Uber, working, if you can do it 12 to 16 hours, but you got to go hard in the paint. Like what I've been doing this, 5, 6, 7 hours, it's great. Like I enjoy it, but I'm not making a great living with it. I don't need to though. I'm retired, right? It's nice little supplemental income for me at this point. But yeah, I think I told y'all in the last video, I am 2 weeks in, and I went back, and it's a little, it can be a little bit south of this, and some cases, some nights a little bit north of this, but I'm averaging about $25 an hour right now. And that is with tips. And I'll tell you, I think one of the reasons why that 2 reasons why I think I've been able, because I haven't been trying to game the algorithm. I just let the algorithm take me where, that may be one of the reasons, is that because I'm not trying to fight against the algorithm and drive all around town. It's like, no, I just turn on the, I say go in my driveway. I go to a trip, I leave the app on, so it's giving me a trip, you know, literally 2 to 3 minutes before I'm dropping somebody off. So I've never got dead time. I'll have some dead miles, obviously, but I never have dead time. So I just go. And then the other thing is I get probably 25 to 35% of my riders give me a tip. And then, although yesterday that was lower than that, I'd say it was about 10%. But you know, you have those days. So let's just say 20% of the riders maybe give me a tip. But I will tell you the other thing is, I think Uber in Houston, at least what I'm hearing from some others, is if you're a Houston Uber driver, you actually I think we're keeping more of the fare than drivers in some other areas of the country. Yeah, I was doing some math on it. Looks like we're keeping close to 60%. I mean, it can ebb and flow, obviously, depending on fares and whatnot, but I was looking at it over the last 2 weeks. And again, I don't want to do a deep dive on what I found out with Uber until I have a month under my belt. I don't think it's fair for me to pop off on, you know, and say it's definitively this when I've only been doing it 13 days, right? 2 weeks. So let me get a month under my belt before I really go and do an extensive video on that. But what I can kind of tell thus far is, on average, it looks like Houston drivers, at least for me, is I'm retaining anywhere from 55 to 60% of the fare. And obviously the other 40% goes to Uber for several different reasons, right? And obviously they need to have it. I mean, it takes a lot. I love the Uber app. It's great. I'm not going to be able to get all the way around Houston and have passengers back to back to back to back without that Uber app, right? So that's definitely got some value. But I've heard tell that in other locations around the country, riders or drivers, I should say, are only retaining like anywhere from 25 to 35% of the fare. And I'm like, my gosh. And I'm assuming a big part of that is just, you know, due to some of the, maybe it's legal fees they got to pay in that state, or insurance cost in that state, and who knows whatnot. But I know somebody in LA, and they showed their readout for their fare, and it looked like they were only keeping like somewhere between 30 to 35%. And I was like, my God, we're keeping. Now, granted, I guarantee you the fares, the gross fare in LA is probably a heck of a lot more than a gross fare here in Houston. So dollar for dollar, they may be about the same. But as far as like percentage wise, and maybe not even dollar for dollar, but percentage wise, we're basically keeping twice as much of the Uber fare here in Houston as a driver in LA. So let me know in the comments if any of y'all are Uber drivers in other parts of the country. What are y'all seeing as part of how much of the Uber fare you're retaining? Like I said, here in Houston, I've only got 2 weeks under my belt, but as I've looked through, you know, each day, it looks like it's about 55 to 60%. I've had some days where in fact, I think I had one day where it looked like it was like 60.1% or something like that. And I'm seeing some of these guys in LA, and I'm like, my God. But what I'm assuming is that the gross fare in LA are a lot higher. So even though they're only keeping half of the same percentage we're keeping, they're probably coming out about the same, right? Dollar for dollar. But that being said, the cost of living in Houston is much less than half of LA. So yeah, I mean, I say all that to like, Uber in Houston is the real deal. Like you could make a living out of doing, Uber. And the reason I even bring this up is that's like the number one question I'm getting on YouTube since I started doing Uber in my Tesla with FSD. So I'll tell you what though, the days are numbered. Let me look right into that camera and say, if you are interested in doing Uber in Houston with a Tesla on FSD, it is great. And like I said, give me another couple of weeks before I go through all the economics on it, because I want to be able to give you you know, more empirical data going into it. But you can definitely make a great amount of money at it. But make sure you're using a Tesla, not just an EV, but a Tesla, because you're going to want to have that Tesla supercharger network. You're going to want to have the Tesla for the riders. The riders love Teslas here in Houston. Like when a Tesla shows up for them, they're like, oh my God, they got me a Tesla. So you're not going to get that with a BZX10895 or whatever the hell thingamajiggy out there. You're not going to get that with a Nissan Leaf. I'm sorry. You're just not going to. When you show up in a Tesla, I'll be the first to admit, I think I have a pretty good talkative personality with folks. But I'm going to tell you what, I think half of my tips are just from the fact that I showed up in a Tesla. So get a Tesla, you know, Tesla EV, get a home charger if you can. Like if you've got a garage, get a home charger, because you want it. That way you can charge up at home. And if it's here in Houston, I mean, you literally have no cost. So you're going to be making, and think of when it comes tax time, you get mileage deduction, but you're not paying for anything that's going into the mileage because it's a Tesla. Your maintenance costs are so low. You're not paying for gas and obviously you got insurance, but for all intents and purposes, whatever your tax rate is, add that on top of whatever your revenue is. So, I mean, think about that for a second. I mean, if you're making $25 an hour, and let's say you're in a 20 to 25, what would a person making $25 an hour, what tax bracket would they be in? But anyway, just for round, add 20% on top of that, you know, so you're talking about basically 30 to $35 an hour tax affected, right? I mean, that's not a bad living, and especially if you're going hard in the paint. Think about that. Going hard in the paint for 12 plus hours a day. But I'm telling you, people that are successful in this life, no matter what they're doing, they're not doing it 9 to 5. You 8 hours. I'm sorry. If you really want to be good at something, if you really want to succeed, it's going to take more than 8 hours a day. It just is. So when I say, if people gag on me saying there's folks out there doing 12 to 16 hours of Uber, that's because they're going after it. That's because they are going to get it. And then not only that, their status on Uber goes way up. So they're getting better fares, getting better rides. So yes, short story, or short answer after a long answer is you can do really well. You can make 6 figures, low 6 figures in Houston, Texas, doing Uber with a Tesla and a home charger. Yes, you can do it. Am I doing that? No, because I'm a retiree going out there doing 4 to 6 hours. But you can do it. All right, but I am definitely going to do a video one of these days going through all of the economics and how I got there. But give me a week or two more to get under my belt, and I promise you I'll do it. All right, everybody. I love you to death. I need to go run and get on Alex's space, but you know I love you, and I will talk to all of y'all again soon. Bye-bye.